one of the things was I was kind of mirroring Sam's journey with myself, and I was learning so much about my culture making this movie that I certainly gained a much deeper appreciation.
It's
Thanks.
Hi,
Bishal,
Jana.
right?
Yes. Hi, Jana. How are you?
I'm doing fine and you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat today.
Now, thank you so much to give me some time to talk today. Appreciate. Thank you so much. First, I want to congratulate you on the South by Southwest, the
You.
audience award. That was like months ago, but still,
It
let's
was it was a highlight for sure. It was very
yeah,
exciting.
let's keep celebrating that. And this is your first feature, like long feature, right?
It is my first feature film. Yes.
Yes, that's amazing. So let's start from the beginning. I really enjoy watching the movie. I wasn't expecting was gonna happen next. So, but what was like the inspiration for the story for the movie?
Well, I had grown up hearing a lot of these kinds of ghost stories that were passed down across the generations. My grandfather, he had some stories about something that lived inside a mason jar, and I also felt like there was an opportunity to convey a very unique conflict in a horror film. This conflict of someone that's caught between two worlds, the caught between being Indian and being American, and how do they synthesize an identity out of that? So those were really the two kind of impulses to try and make this compelling character story about this particular identity conflict, but to do so through the form of this kind of very universally scary ghost story, demon story.
Yeah, I love that you don't see the what it like. Let's say the monster since the beginning is kind of we like sense them because of the reaction of the actors of the characters. I love that part when you just reveal towards the end. I love
Right.
that. Yeah, I like that. What was like your like the inspiration? I know that you pick Pisha
Uh-huh.
for it, but what was like the actual inspiration for the whole like monster for the figure like to be like that?
Totally. And no, I'm so glad you brought up the fact that we obfuscate the creature for so long, because for me, I mean, this is such a kind of uber boogeyman from our culture, and it's kind of this embodiment of fear. And my thought was that the more that I can kind of convey that there is a thing there, there is something there, and it has a presence, it has ferocity, it has speed, the more we can convey that but keep it hidden, the more the audience can project their own kind of worst nightmares into it. And that to me felt very correct to the mythology and very correct to how I heard some of these stories growing up. But then, in terms of actually showing the creature, which I thought was important, that we would get this big sort of reveal of the creature, in terms of showing the creature, we were really trying to, again, embody evil and hatred and anger inside of its kind of design. We were pulling from both the cultural art that existed, where we were trying to interpret some of that into a kind of three-dimensional reality, but also pulling from a lot of my favorite 80s horror movies. I was pulling from like The Fly and The Thing and Pumpkinhead and Hellraiser. There's just that very textured physicality that I loved about those movies. And as we were bringing it to life, we just kept kind of honing in on this idea, this evil incarnate that I wanted to visualize with that creature.
Yeah, yeah. That was one my next question, like your horror influences. What type of movie you watch or things that you got inspired to do the but you already answered that for me. So how much was like practical effects and how much did you use like CGI for
Well,
especially
see,
for the monster?
for sure. I mean, CGI is an incredible tool that we have, and we had incredible CGI artists on this who augmented what we physically shot. But what was so nice on this movie was having a physical creature that the CGI artist could build on from there. And I think that the discipline really that I care about is what is the right tool for the job and how can practical and CGI work hand in hand. Certainly, my favorite filmmakers are balancing the two in this incredible way, and it's what I'd like to do. And on this movie, it was so nice to have a physical thing in front of a camera. I think it affects an audience very viscerally when they can tell something was filmed in real life with a camera. But then when we built on top of that, it felt like it really pushed the creature into an otherworldly state.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And I love the both actresses, Megan and Mohana. Oh my God. Mohana holding holding the jar. Oh my God, her face tells it all. And incredible.
Amazing, right?
How was like, where did you find them and why they are so perfect for those roles?
Well, both Mohana and Megan have had very significant careers already, but when I met them for this movie, it was so they were both so perfect. And I think for me, the mark of a great actor is when I can rely on them to convey the truth of a scene and pull the dialogue out, and I'll try to overwrite the dialogue in the script so that the performance can have a centering point. But with both of those actors, I mean, I can just hold on them for so long and understand that they're thinking and feeling and they're afraid or they're anxious. And both of them bring such a intuition to acting, and acting is so much intuition. But I for both of them, I'd go into set and have all these big explanations, but I wouldn't need to give any of them because they just nail it on the first try. And I think that speaks to the research that they did into the characters. I think into the introspection that goes into building a character. I love actors. I love their process. On this movie, I just had so many great ones. Obviously, Megan and Mohana, but also Neeru Bajwa, Gabriel, Sahay, Gage, Marsh. They were all bringing their A game, I felt like, in terms of taking what could have been what is always the fear with teen movies is that anybody feels like a stereotype. But I think all of them brought so much humanity to these characters that now I don't see the characters I wrote on the screen. It feels like I'm seeing real people.
Exactly. That's what I felt. Some of like, of course, not this monster, whatever, but like the relationship with the family, they both the friendship, everything like was so real. And like from the point of view, like the director, of course, you were the director, but what was like your biggest challenge on set?
I think, this was a massive jump for me. It was my first feature film. I've done a lot of short films, but nothing prepares you for how big of a jump it is. But I certainly had amazing partners. The producers at QC were kind of guiding me the whole way. They were amazing mentors. Neon was obviously so supportive of the film and wanted to get it out. I think the biggest challenge, I wouldn't call it a challenge, but biggest kind of learning curve was just always learning to always be aware of the audience, right? And as I'm writing or as I'm thinking about the scene, that there is an audience always in the room with me. I'm thinking about how do I deliver this for an audience? How do I stay one step ahead? How do I subvert but also satisfy? And I think that's the biggest kind of growth that a lot of filmmakers have making their first movies, is the realization that a lot of people are going to watch this. How can I create the optimal sort of experience for them?
Yeah, and have some of the producers from Get Out, I think happen a lot. I really like that movie too, and I think it's kind of, I don't know, elevates your idea and your what do you do, and like, what did you learn, like about yourself, like that making this movie? You might have learning something about you that you didn't know from before.
Well, on one hand, you're absolutely right. I mean, you learn so much making any movie, but certainly your first movie, you get to make one. So I was trying to be conscious of what I learned. One of the things was I was kind of mirroring Sam's journey with myself, and I was learning so much about my culture making this movie that I certainly gained a much deeper appreciation after it. But also, I think the biggest thing I learned about myself is just how to balance kind of having a vision, having a clarity of the kind of film I want to make, but then also collaborating and creating space for other incredible filmmakers, other incredible artists to bring their brilliance to the table. And I think it's something I'm going to be working on forever, but I certainly felt like I had a big leap of that on this movie.
And for us to wrap it up, are you already working your next project? You already thinking something?
I absolutely am. I mean, it was such a privilege on this movie to get to do an original high concept thriller and to be able to bring it to a large audience. And it's my dream to keep doing that. It's my dream to keep creating these big ideas that will bring an audience in and get them wondering, what would I do in that situation? You know, these massive sort of extraordinary circumstances that still speak to everybody universally and make them wonder, like, what would I do? That's my dream, is to keep making those films.
Amazing. Bishal, just want to thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to meet you. I hope one day we meet in person. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jana.
Bye-bye. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, to like, and subscribe to our channel right here.